Welcome to the You Couldn't Tell Me Shit podcast, the audio-visual companion to the ongoing Substack series, sponsored by Bulk 45 Malt Liquor. Smooth when you sip it, strong when it hits. Bulk 45, it'll light that ass up every time. And by Crooklyn Fried Chicken. Fuck the Kentuck. Ain't no such thing as halfway Crooklyn, baby.
You couldn't tell me shit.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. This is episode 2. Last episode, I read parts 1 through 3 of A High MB, and I'm guessing some of you must have dug it. That's why you come back for more. If that's the case, first of all, thank you very much. Secondly, stomp on that like button. Stomp on that share button because the algorithm gods, they love that shit. All right. This week, we're going to do something a little different. In addition to the reading, also going to respond to listener questions that come from subscribers to my Substack. So if you're a subscriber and you drop a question, you can expect that there's a chance that it might get responded to on the show. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's pick up where we left off last time. A Higher Me. Part 4. I Need Me. I smoked that roach the way I'd seen my father smoke Chiba 1,000 times. Tried to, anyway. Pops, he'd take these super deep breaths and puff his cheeks up with the smoke till he looked like Dizzy Gillespie on his horn. Then, while looking at the joint like it touched his reel-to-reel or breathed on his guitar, shit he'd discourage me for, he'd draw it somehow even deeper into his chest. Wispy tendrils would seep from his nostrils like smoke signals just before he puffed out a blast while taking another hit. And when it got to be roach size, he'd use a kind of funnel thingy or a special clip he kept to finish them off. I mimicked Pop as best I could, but I only got about 3 or 4 daddy drawers in before I second degree burnt the shit out of my upper lip and thumb and flicked a good third of it away. Like I said, no one ever confused me for a child prodigy. And then I sat there waiting for something to happen with a kind of sweet, pasty film on my parched tongue. And waited. And waited. After some time had passed and I still felt nothing, I started thinking that maybe getting high was one of those things people lie about. You know? Like the time when I was 9 and snuck several sips of my mother's Schaefer and pretended for my sibs' amusement to be Hammond. I staggered around like Ned the Wino from Good Times. And everybody bought it, especially when I started throwing up all over the damn house. Hell, that even had me convinced. Or maybe it was one of those little lily white lies, like George Washington chopping down a cherry tree and making himself some wooden teeth or whatever the story was. Everybody knows that was some bullshit. You know what? I bet old Georgie grew Chiba and sold that shit by the bushel. Cherry trees, my ass. Wait, I did feel something. You know that feeling when you're about to sneeze and nothing happened? Kind of like that. That was when I noticed the fire escape was creaking. It was shifting with my laughter, so I stopped laughing. Try anyway. What the hell was so funny? Oh yeah. Life on Washington's Chiba plantation. Slaves cultivating it all week, breaking out the incense and candles and sparking up on Sundays while Fiddler fiddled a tune that must have inspired Stone Soul Picnic. Didn't even know I was laughing till I tried to stop. That was weird. That creaking noise was weird too. I've been out there on that fire escape many times, but I never noticed any creaking before. Is this thing sturdy? Shit. Is it safe? Did I break it? Somehow shake it loose? I moved again and it creaked again. So I moved again. The creaking was getting kind of good to me, right? Made me feel powerful and shit, like I mattered, you know? 6 stories of iron and I can make it creak? Tell me I ain't the shit. I could tear this motherfucker down if I had a mind to. I was sure the whole neighborhood knew I was up there now with all the racket I was making. So I carefully, oh so carefully, looked over the railing at the world below. But nope, no one was looking up. Can't they hear it? Am I the only one who hears it? Do you still matter if you're the only one who can hear your creaking? I kept listening to that creak a lot longer than it made sense to listen to a creak. How many things have I listened to longer than it made sense to? Hell, how many people? Most people make no sense. They just make nonsense. Oh, snap. So that's where that word comes from. No sense equals nonsense. Was the answer right there all the time? How many answers have been there all the time, right there under my nose? Somehow I missed them. A lot, I bet. Sean, down in 2A, the apartment below ours, had a box, and the quiet storm floated up from his window. It drowned out the creek. It was a soothing sound, as relaxing as a bubble bath and lemony joy dishwashing liquid. Oh, I sighed deeply with the reflection. Then the organ and bass opening of a song I listened to so many times I knew every word, every note by heart, climbed up the fire escape. It was Always and Forever by Heatwave, the consummate slow jam. Played at every house party I'd ever been to. Everybody peers off. Hips grind, tongues wrestle, hickeys get exchanged, crotches get rubbed, tits get squeezed, asses get caressed. Where's my part? Where's the girl who wants my hands on her? Why don't I have a girlfriend, huh? Well, my boys have girlfriends. Shit, some have too. What's wrong with me? You're a bum and beat up 69ers from the sneaker factory who just stopped wetting the bed last week, and you still stink of ammonia. Your waves are so nappy a blind man could read your head like Braille. Your head is as big as a fucking watermelon, and your face is an acne petri dish. That's what's wrong with you. Whoa, time out. That was a little too much truth. Where the fuck did that come from? I noticed I was tapping the rail without meaning to, rhythmically, in time with Heatwave's snare drum. At the same time, I realized everything else I was doing. Breathing, seeing, hearing, smelling. I forced myself to stop tapping, but my index finger stayed poised over the rail, longing to resume tapping. Fuck is your problem? I snapped at my finger, aloud, I think. Something was off. Not wrong, just funny. Weird funny. And funny funny too.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Words by, art by Mickey.
And now, back to You Couldn't Tell Me Shit with Brian McNeil.
I'd think a thought, right? But by the time I was done thinking it, another would appear instantly, like they were all in the queue, just waiting for their moment. Now, most of these thoughts waited their turn like good little thoughts, right? But there were a few self-important thoughts in there too. You know the ones I'm talking about. They think this shit don't stink. These were the thoughts that like to bogart their way through, shoving all the patient ruler-biting thoughts out of the way. Wait, do thoughts expire if they're forced to wait around to be thought too long? Are thoughts perishable? Like black-eyed peas left to sit too long when they get that webbing and turn all gooey and stink as if something died in the pot? But maybe dead thoughts aren't a bad thing at all. Maybe some thoughts are better off unthought. Maybe some thoughts deserve to die. The thought of thoughts dying almost made me tear up. Seriously. I felt sorry for them until I thought of something even worse. Undying thoughts. Once you let them in, them fuckers won't ever go away, even after you've driven a wooden stake through their heart. I leaned back, staring at the sky, trying not to think any vampire thoughts, when it hit me. thoughts go through all kinds of shit to get funk. They've got like this whole life cycle. How I had never seen that. I mean, all this time it was right there, just like no sense nonsense. I felt better then, like I was finally beginning to see shit that was always there. I chuckled smugly as I gazed into the heavens. I could see a bunch of stars that night. So many. Shit. A new thought fired the starter pistol and set my heart to racing. What if stars are how the creator keeps tabs on us? Wouldn't that be some shit? It had never occurred to me before that stars might be little spies watching us through peepholes in the heavens, reporting us to God. It sure as hell was enough of them. What would God think of me? Lying, pinching Ma's butts, smoking roaches, jerking off every day? Does he even care? Oh shit. What if he is a she and she is watching me play with... No, stop. That was just too crazy a thought to toy around with. Where'd that thought come from anyway? I looked up again at those starry eyes in the sky. Wait. Oh shit, wait a doggone minute. Does he transmit thoughts using stars? Oh, snap! The stars! Them slick bastards! So that's where thoughts come from. That's gotta be how the creator communicates with us, through stars. I sat up straight, jolted by the power of this realization. It made perfect sense. I was onto something profound, wasn't I? On the brink of solving the greatest puzzle that humanity has ever scratched its head over. This was some Nobel Prize for figuring shit out level thinking I was doing. You laughed at me. You said you never needed me. I whipped my head around, looking for the source of that silky drawl, expecting to find it beside me. Then I started laughing when I realized it was Lionel Richie. Why the fuck would he be on my fire escape, right? This was getting weirder. One moment, I was grooving the heat wave, being my wallflower self at a house party. The next, I was receiving transmissions from the creator through celestial peepholes. And then out of the blue, Lionel Richie's voice was piping up from Sean's box, pulling me back down to earth. We played the games that people play. We made mistakes along the way. Somehow I dove deep in my heart. You needed me, 'cause I needed you so desperately. Shit, was I singing or was that Lionel? It must be nice to be needed though. Do I need anybody? Does anybody need me? What if nobody ever needs me? Wait, I need me. I need me. I need me. Okay. So this is high. I get it. And now, as promised, it's time to respond to a couple of subscriber questions. The first comes from a reader here in Japan, a gentleman named Ben. He asks, why did I choose the name You Couldn't Tell Me Shit? Hey, Ben, I just want to thank you for your question. It's an excellent question. I think that phrase captures a lot of what I felt about myself when I think about myself back in the 80s. For example, back in the 80s, I kind of thought of myself as a fashion trailblazer, right? Man, you should have seen, you would have been tripping, right? So for example, me and my boy Mass, we were trailblazers, right? We used to wear some risque shit. This is back in days when cats were still wearing, superstar Adidas and Adidas suits and Nike track sneakers and shit like that. We was breaking out the tennis wear. We had LS sneakers and Fila suits. This is before this shit was, in vogue. So back then it was really risque, but we knew we was flying. You couldn't tell me shit. Right? I knew I was fly. People were like, that shit looks gay. I don't give a fuck. I knew that shit was flying. What do you know? A couple years later, Mad niggas was wearing that shit. So that's one example of that phrase and how that phrase feels appropriate for how I saw myself back then. But also, I think that, that phrase also it captures the pompous, arrogant idiot that I was, when I look back at my life full of mistakes and regrets and shit, this is how you would talk about that kind of stuff too. You would say, you couldn't tell me shit. Back then I was an idiot and there was no stopping me. I was going to be an idiot until further notice. So that's what that phrase also captures. So I think it was really working perfectly. So that's why I used it. The second question comes from a brother I grew up with back on Eastern Parkway, a brother named Selwyn. And he says, you're talking about an epic era of our lives, surviving crack. So he asked, what else do you have? Thanks for the question, fam. The 80s were ruthless, no doubt, and the crack era was the worst of it without question. Crack touched each and every life in our part of the world in some way, shape, or form. And, as I mentioned, I initially intended to begin this book in the crack era and make it about, as Selvin so aptly put it, surviving crack. But once I began writing the book, my instincts took me back to the years before the crack tornado touched down, so to speak, and began wreaking havoc in that horrific way it did. As a writer, I've learned to trust my instincts, and instinctively, my pen took me back to the days prior to crack. I think readers would appreciate the impact more if they knew what kind of situation crack encountered when it arrived. So I decided to cover the entire 80s from its tumultuous onset till its departure. I'm sure you'll agree that there was much more to the 80s than crack. But I promise you, my brother, as Harpo said in The Color Purple, I was getting to it. A quick remembrance about Selby, y'all, because this guy was one of the funniest motherfuckers on the Parkway. He used to have this joke about my mom's dreads. She said she used to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror with a comb in her hand and just say, fuck it. That shit used to kill me, man. My mom's passed not too long ago, but that joke from damn near 50 years ago still makes me laugh. Some joy inside my tears, as Stevie would put it. So thanks for that comedic gem, brother Shem. Love you, fam. So that's it for episode 2. We did it. Yay! I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Malt 45 Malt Liquor. It'll light that ass up every time. Believe that. And by Crooklyn Fried Chicken. I wish they had a franchise here in Tokyo, because trust me when I say, ain't no such thing as halfway Crooklyn. And if you have an opportunity, please check out my books. Here they are. My name is Loco and I'm a Racist. Loco in Yokohama. Words by Bae, art by Mickey. Check out the links in the notes. And of course, please check out my memoir series, You Couldn't Tell Me Shit, on Substack. That link's also in the notes. Okay, so we're out. Peace. Travel in supreme harmony.